for most presidents when it comes to their nominees. I think it speaks to the discipline inside of this White House and the broad tent of having people who voted against Trump that Trump has now brought into his cabinet and into his administration.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that speaks well for him representing a broad swath of Americans.
Yeah, I mean, Roland, it's hard to disagree. Most of these people were at one stage with you, and you drove them away, mainly, I think, because of the ludicrous woke stuff.
Actually, they weren't on stage with me. And what about ludicrous? You also have, let's be clear, nobody was saying, hey, President Obama, put RFK Jr. in your cabinet. Little Clay, seriously, wake up. Okay, so what Trump does is
the clips of the discussion for the show, Piers. I've watched those.
Mega Man Clay Travis right here completely owns this lefty lunatic Roland Martin. They have a pretty heated debate. Let's see how this goes down.
Later on. So, yeah, the answer is I always abide by the courts, always abide by them, and will appeal.
No, see, that's significant. I think that Trump said that on the record.
I thought that was really excellent what the president said.
Yeah, I think, and he should be. Roland, Roland, before I get your reaction,
I think.
By contrast, I want to replay the clip of Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez when she talked about a Texas court ruling over suspending an abortion drug. Let's take a listen.
I believe that the Biden administration should ignore this ruling. I think that the courts have the legitimacy and they rely on the legitimacy of their rulings. And what they are currently doing is engaged in an unprecedented and dramatic erosion of the legitimacy of the courts. It is the justices themselves, through the deeply partisan and unfounded nature of these rulings, that are undermining their own enforcement.
Now, it's funny, Roland, because it seems to me that there might be a constitutional crisis, as people like AOC have been telling us, but it might be because of people like her, because she's the one on the record saying that presidents should not listen to what judges tell them, whereas the current president of the United States is saying, I will absolutely abide by what the judges say. So maybe there is a crisis, but it's actually because of people like AOC.
Well, she's a member of Congress. She sounds just like Darrell Issa and Senator Tom Cotton, who said the exact same thing because they disagree. Also, Elon Musk called on the Rhode Island judge to be impeached because of what he did. Plus, he doxed the judge's daughter. So I guess these things apply differently when it comes to conservatives.
Well, hang on. Was AOC right to say what she said? Well, hang on, Roland, hang on. No, specifically. No,
Piers.
You will. Roland, I'm asking you a question.
Piers, I'm very consistent. I'm answering your question.
Roland.
I'm very consistent.
Was she right?
If a federal judge issues a ruling, then you are to abide by the ruling. Then if there's an injunction, if a higher court then sets that ruling aside, you abide by the law. What I'm saying is what we have right now, as we speak right now, we have multiple members of the Republican Party who are articulating that these judges should be impeached. They should not be followed. No one judge can't stop a president. Judges have rulings. And what I'm saying is you are to abide by the law. And what I'm saying is I'm laughing that the so-called party of law and order is just somehow forgetting the law part. The law is very clear.
So AOC, was she right or wrong?
I'm not done.
Now, I don't know if it's true or not, if there's some people that are just like, oh, screw the judges on the right and stuff. I will say, though, that a lot of these judges on the right seems like they're indoctrinated with this lefty ideology, with the woke mind virus. They have no interest in upholding like the law in the way that we think of it. They're interested in serving the ideology, possibly even themselves if they're in on this racket that the Democrats had going on. But even so, it's not unlawful to impeach judges. I'm not sure, but again, I don't think anyone's saying, yeah, just don't listen to the judges, do whatever you want, like AOC's saying. If they're saying impeach judges, well, I mean, that's not unlawful. You know, at least we're not like protesting outside their houses like what the Democrats did when it came to the Roe v. Wade decision.
When the law is clear, when it comes to a president firing inspectors general, you are to give Congress 30 days notice and a real explanation. Has he done that? No. He's fired 19 inspectors general. He has violated the law. You can't defend violating the law. Now, what has happened? They've had to now sue because he's now violating the law. And so this is very simple. Either you operate within the rule of law or you don't.
Okay.
But let's not sit here and play games.
All right, Roland, I agree.
Roland,
I agree. But then just to be clear, AOC was wrong, right?
You cannot just ignore a judicial order.
Thank you.
You can't.
Okay, great. Straight answer.
Period.
I appreciate that. Look, as we're
So
talking,
please tell the Republican senators and congressmen who are saying the exact same thing.
So notice these Democrats, they can't just say, like, he can't just say, yes, AOC is wrong. He has to say, you can't ignore judicial law, which I know people are going to be like, well, no, he's saying that she's wrong. And it's like, I mean, he is, but he's not outright saying it. Like, he can't just say, yes, she is wrong. That would have been a satisfying answer, but he's saying you can't just ignore judicial thing, and then he's putting it back on the Republicans. Like, these people, they can't go against their own no matter what.
It should apply to all of them. And to be fair to you, you've answered the question. We've just got some breaking news. I've got some breaking news for all of you. Look, I've got some breaking news for you. Look, Tulsi Gabbard has been confirmed as Director of National Intelligence. Clay, let me get your reaction to that.
Putin is happy.
I think this is an example of Trump having put together the biggest tent when it comes to his cabinet, probably of the modern era, certainly of the 21st century. Just follow me along here. I mentioned earlier, you got Elon Musk as a special master deputy, whatever you want to call him, his official title is. He voted for Joe Biden in 2020. Tulsi Gabbard just got confirmed DNI director. She was actually running against Donald Trump in 2020 on the Democrat side of the equation. Remember, she memorably delivered a knockout punch, it felt like, to Kamala Harris's disaster of a 2020 presidential campaign. You're going to have, in short order, RFK Jr., who was one of the most famous Democrats in the country for about 73 and a half of his 74 years. Trump has as his vice president a guy who compared him to Hitler. Look, one of the things that I think Trump doesn't get enough credit for is, you guys all know this, politicians tend to have the longest memory when it comes to grudges on the planet. Trump is willing to forgive and forget on a level we have never seen before. Tulsi and RFK Jr. Are going to get confirmed almost entirely by Republican Senate votes, yet it was only a decade ago that the Democrats were saying, hey, maybe Barack Obama should put RFK Jr. in his cabinet so that there's a little bit more star power there. I give credit to Trump. All of his nominees, with the exception of Gates, who never got to a confirmation hearing, are going to be confirmed, which is far better than the record for most presidents when it comes to their nominees. I think it speaks to the discipline inside of this White House and the broad tent of having people who voted against Trump that Trump has now brought into his cabinet and into his administration.
Yeah, I mean,
I think that speaks well for him representing a broad swath of Americans.
Yeah, I mean, Roland, it's hard to disagree. Most of these people were at one stage with you, and you drove them away, mainly, I think, because of the ludicrous woke stuff.
Actually, they weren't on stage with me. And what about ludicrous? You also have, let's be clear, nobody was saying, hey, President Obama, put RFK Jr. in your cabinet. Little Clay, seriously, wake up. Okay, so what Trump does is
the clips of the discussion for the show, Piers. I've watched those.
Trump loves people who also grovel and bend their knee to him, like the J.D. Vances in the world. Here's the reality here, and that is this here. When it comes to, especially RFK Jr., by all means, I love somebody who sits there and lies before Congress like, no, I wasn't against vaccines. Dude, you were. And so, hey, you got a measles outbreak happening right now in a couple of parts of the country. And so, yeah, let's see what happens with public health under RFK Jr. We might have to be returning back to the full body suits we were wearing during COVID.
Roland, how many COVID shots have you gotten?
I've had 2.
Roland, you're a big guy of science. How many COVID shots have you gotten?
And guess what? I've had 2, had no problem. And RFK's children have had shots as well, vaccine shots as well.
Hold on.
But he's also against vaccines.
But But Roland, the government has told you that you should have had 10.
To Africa,
why did you stop at 2?
And when I traveled to Africa,
I just want to know, Roland, the government has told you to get 10 COVID shots. Why did you stop at 2?
I've traveled to Africa twice in the last 5 years, and I've had numerous shots as well. So I have no problem with vaccines, unlike RFK Jr.
Okay, but I'm specifically asking, you're going after RFK Jr. for not following government advice. You have chosen not to follow government advice and get 10 COVID shots like your government has told you. Why are you not a science denier? Why are you not a shot denier?
First of all, because I'm not a science denier. I'm not a science denier. I'm not a shot denier. And I also believe in vaccines.
So why are you denying science by only getting 2 COVID shots?
I'm not denying science. Play, that's cute, but I'm not denying science.
I think you are. You've left 8 COVID shots. I'm surprised you're still alive, frankly. But why'd you not get the other 8 shots, the boosters?
I can show you the 15 shots that I got.
Why are you denying science, Roland?
Africa.
Why?
But it's cute. It's cute, Play.
I don't know if we can share the show now with you being such a science denier.
Play. Your little cute little moment is cute, but it doesn't work.
Where are the other
it kind of does work, actually. But let me go to Jeffrey.
I mean, absolutely it does work. He's trying to say, like, oh, RFK Jr., he's against the vaccines. We need but more vaccines. We need these vaccines. I need 20, 30. Pump me full of the vaccines. And then Clay is asking Roland here, hey, listen, if the vaccines are fine, if all the shots are great and dandy, how come you just stopped at 2? How come you didn't keep getting the boosters? And Roland obviously is not addressing it. He is just trying to move on because he knows that's a good question and that's a good point. How come he didn't keep getting the boosters in if these vaccines were so great and wonderful and harmless and they're amazing? Like, how come he didn't keep getting them then? You know, the government was advocating that we keep getting boosters. Like, oh yeah, get your 10th booster here. So why didn't Roland listen and go along with the government? Makes you think, huh? Makes you think he's full of crap, Mr. Don't Blame Me, I voted for the black.
Hang on, I think it kind of did work.
I can't be in the same studio with Roland until he gets his other 8 COVID shots. Too dangerous.
Actually, with your body odor, I wouldn't want to be in the same studio. But go ahead, Tubin.
All right, let me move to Jeffrey on something else, which is the Gulf of America, as it's now called, that was the Gulf of Mexico. Google has changed the name on Google Maps and been criticized for bending the knee. AP, apparently, just before I came in, have been barred entry to the White House press room because they refused to call it the Gulf of America. And it just prompted a debate we had, actually, as a team here before we started tonight, which was, what's the legality of all this? I mean, if the President of the United States declares it's now the Gulf of America, does that make it the Gulf of America? Who decides? Who has the legal authority on naming that area of water?
You know, Piers, I'm going to use the 3 words you're never allowed to say in one of these programs, which is, I don't know. I mean, I just don't know who is in charge of naming oceans. But here's the thing I do know, that it was terrible to bar the AP reporter from the White House. Let journalists do their job. If he wants to call it the Gulf of America, if the president wants to call it the Gulf of America, that's certainly fine with me. But I don't think he should prevent journalists from doing their job if they don't want to follow his example.
Well, Google does work, Jeffrey. The International Hydrographic Organization.
I'm assuming they're talking about they kept calling it the Gulf of Mexico. That reporter was just dead naming the Gulf of America. And we all know dead naming someone, well, that's hate speech and that's not allowed. So listen, that's all Donald Trump was doing.
Deals with uniformity with oceans and the U.S. border and geographic names. But guess what? You know what? I'm from Houston, and when that hurricane comes bearing down on the Gulf of Mexico, we don't give a shit if you call it the Gulf of America, Gulf of Mexico. We trying to get the hell out of town so we don't get killed.
Well, on that we can probably all agree on that.
I learned from my friend Roland Martin. I did not know about that group.
Yes,
You know
there's
what?
actually a
I've
group
learned-
that has uniformity. Yes.
I have learned a lot of stuff on this show today. Clay, your earlier
And you didn't learn from Clay. Go ahead.
Well, Clay's lengthy monologue earlier about the colonies was fascinating, actually. And now we have this information from you, Ron. The breaking news about who gets to name.
This is why, honestly,
goals.
the birthright citizenship to me is so fascinating.
Yeah.
On the history front,
I agree.
nobody's actually done the research.
I totally agree. Rana, everyone's talking about one thing after the Musk-Trump press conference, which is that I think it was Time magazine came out with a cover. I think it was Time magazine had a cover, which had basically Elon Musk running the country, Trump as his little sidekick. You've got it there, the picture of Trump at the Resolute desk in the Oval Office. And
they're always trying to paint this narrative that Trump is someone's puppet, you know, in his original presidency. Oh, he's Putin's puppet. He's Putin's puppet. And now, oh, he's Elon's puppet. Elon's pulling the strings. He's Elon's puppet. Like these people, man, they never give up.
Musk. And then you had the reality yesterday of Trump sitting at the desk and Elon standing next to him very much as his sidekick. It's all good sport for the media, obviously, but is there a more serious point there? I mean, it is important, I would argue, that for Trump, he's got to maintain to the public that elected him that he is the guy in charge. And it's important equally for Elon Musk that he never tries to usurp, in terms of the optics, who's really the boss.
Yeah, I think the media is trying to bait Trump, right? And he's calm as a cucumber. I mean, he's super calm about it. He doesn't care. He's like, great, this guy spent $290 million helping me get elected. Now he's helping create efficiencies in our government. I love having him here, but he's going to work under my guardrails and he's going to listen to what I say because I'm the president. Trump's very clear about that. I think the media keeps trying to bait him. They want to poke him. They keep trying to make this point, and Trump's not taking the bait.
Yeah, I agree.
Because we shouldn't race past what you brought up, the Associated Press. It is shameful and despicable for the Trump White House to bar the Associated Press from covering an event there because they are abiding by their AP standards of calling the Gulf of Mexico. I guess by that standard, they should have been barred because they actually said he lost the 2020 election. But this is a fundamental problem when you talk about, it's called the First Amendment for a reason. And so for him to say that you can't cover an event because of that, that to me is silly, it is childish, and it should be called out.
Yeah, I actually agree with you. They shouldn't have barred AP for that reason. But Clay, I think you're about to give us another history lesson, possibly.
Well, no, on the Trump, Elon, and the Time magazine front, I think this is super fascinating. We have a situation where two things are being argued simultaneously by Trump's critics. One, that Trump is an authoritarian dictator hell-bent on destroying democratic norms. That is one. Now, I would point out, Piers, to my knowledge, here's my history lesson, I can't remember a dictator who shrunk the size of his government ever as a part of his fascist authoritarian rule. Maybe there's a historical example of that. I don't think that would add up. But this is the other part of the argument. They're simultaneously saying Trump is a fascist dictator, which I don't think his actions clearly would reflect. But two, that he's also the stooge of Elon Musk. So which one is it? Is Elon actually the Nazi hell-bent dictator that is taken over the country? Or is Trump? They can't even figure out who the big bad wolf in this equation is because they're simultaneously arguing two different things, which I think is symptomatic and emblematic, Piers, of the failure in the first month and really since the election itself of the Democrat Party to find an argument against Trump or even find a figure who can make a strong argument against Trump. Piers, it's embarrassing, honestly. They're relegated to Chuck Schumer holding up an avocado and a Corona beer trying to argue against Super Bowl parties.
Okay, Clay, I don't disagree.
I can't believe this is real.
But Clay, just on the specific point about AP, it's not right, is it, that AP get banned because they won't call it?
Why are they going back to this AP person being banned? Like, I don't know the situation. I haven't heard about that story about an AP person being banned from the newsroom. But why do they keep harping up back? Like, who cares? I mean, yeah, like, I agree. I mean, listen, again, I guess I'm not going to comment on that because I don't know what the heck happened there. I don't know why that person was kicked out. But Clay makes some excellent points about, like, is Trump the dictator? Is Elon the dictator? Like, they're trying to And would a dictator try to shrink the government? Because that's not usually what dictators do. Like, Clay makes some great points, and they're just going back and harping on the bad thing that Trump did or allegedly did. Because again, I don't know the situation. But listen, Trump bad though, right? Trump bad. Trump did a bad thing though, right? It's like, come on.
Ban, because they won't call it Gulf of America. That shouldn't be happening in a country with the First Amendment.
My understanding is that this has been exaggerated, that they didn't let them cover the ceremony where the signing of the Gulf of America order was taking place because the AP wouldn't refer to it as the Gulf of America.
That's still an infringement of their... But that is still a sense...
I think that's a little bit funnier and a little bit less significant than, they're banning the AP. And remember,
they shouldn't be doing it, Clay. Come on, Clay. You've got to agree. They shouldn't be doing it.
Chooses which media are allowed to be present. Personally, I think the significant factor here is in 1 month, Trump has answered more questions from media than Joe Biden did in 4 years.
That is true.
Last 2 minutes,
I mean, yeah, absolutely. Trump has answered more questions. His press secretary, which, by the way, Trump has a great record with press secretaries. All of his press secretaries have been great. Huckabee, McEnany, or whatever her name is, and then this girl, Levitt, all fantastic. He does a great job of picking press secretaries. But even the press secretary addresses the crowd like we're grown-ups and not children that they have to constantly lie to. You know, you had Jean-Pierre Lefty, or whatever her name is, Karine Jean-Pierre, who would always have to lie and spin everything, which, I mean, it's got to be a hard job, got to just constantly be lying for the Democrats. But, you know, she did it. She would go out there and look like an idiot because she would have to constantly spin everything and lie about everything. Same thing with freaking, what's her name? The Wendy's girl, the redhead, forgot her name. And she would always have to be like, oh, we're going to circle it back. We're going to have to circle back to that. We're going to have to circle back. We're going to be spinning circles here. You know, they obviously wasn't a transparent regime. But now you have Trump doing the opposite of that, being completely transparent and talking to the people like we're adults. What do you guys think about that?
On any subject, which is the big picture here, as opposed to getting fired up about one particular signing ceremony.
And in the last 90 seconds, you can't answer one question from Piers. Dude, come on. It's just, they shouldn't have got barred.
Piers,
wait a minute.
I will answer any question. What do you want to know, Piers? Fire away.
Well, actually, what I want to do, hang on.
AOC question.
Hang on, I do actually want to run a mashup of whether Elon's the boss. Let's have a look at this.
The person who is helping him do that stood over Donald Trump in the White House today, thereby delivering a picture of presidential subservience, the likes of which we have never seen. The most powerless image of a president of the United States ever created by a camera. There it is. In that shot, Elon Musk is doing everything he possibly can to tell the world, without saying a word, that Donald Trump is not the boss of me.
It's essential for America to remain solvent as a country.
We're going to interrupt this pablum to fact check it a little bit. One, irony died while he was talking. The only unelected party in any of this is Elon Musk.
Donald Trump will be the one in the Oval Office.
Hello, everyone.
But Elon Musk plans to be pulling the strings.
You know, Jeffrey, when I watch that, I just think we can't have 4 more years of this kind of thing where the liberal skewed mainstream media just lose their minds over stuff like this. Can we? I don't think we've got the strength.
Well, my concern is not who's making decisions and who's in charge, is whether the decisions are the right ones for the American people. You know, is it right to shut down USAID? Is it right for what's going on at the Treasury Department with access? Will there be an investigation of the Defense Department with similar scrutiny that the Department of Education is getting? I personally don't care about the personnel and the behind-the-scenes story. I care about like what it means for the American people and how it affects their lives. And that, I think, ultimately is going to be how Donald Trump is judged. And that's how it should be, not who's sitting where in the Oval Office.
Can we all agree? Can we all agree? Well, hang on, Roland. Can we all agree just on a very silly trivial level that when Elon Musk changed his X handle to hairy balls, was it, or something? And Dana Bash actually read it out with a straight face. Can we all agree that was just bloody funny?
It was very funny.
Come on, Roland. Crack a smile, Roland.
Actually, it was childish. But I am laughing. I am laughing.
Come on, Dana Bash saying hairy balls live on CNN. Come on.
We gotta have a sense of humor.
Oh no! I have a sense of humor, but not with that fool. But here's the whole deal. I am laughing at Republicans though have spent the last decade saying George Soros is the one who's pulling all the strings. But
oh God, that's their other talking point. George Soros. Yeah, because George Soros is totally the same thing as Elon Musk. Yeah, George Soros. I remember when George Soros went into our government and was trying to cut down on all the waste that we were spending. I totally remember that when George Soros was looking to all the stuff we were wasting our money on and was trying to cut it all down to better our government and to better our government efficiency and to make sure that the taxpayers' dollars weren't be wasted. I totally remember when George Soros did that. Totally the same thing. I remember when George Soros was hired to do that. Oh, wait. No, he didn't. In fact, he was using his money to further push his lefty agenda, allegedly paying protesters to go to cities and protest and cause a bunch of mayhem, things of which Elon Musk is not doing. So listen, save it with the George Soros comparisons. We both know, we all know, it's not the same thing. But the Democrats, obviously, Orange Man is bad. Well, how can we spin this to Orange Man is bad? I know, Elon Musk equals George Soros. Which, by the way, I didn't hear the Democrats complaining anything about George Soros. Oh, but now all of a sudden, like, what are you trying to say? If Elon Musk is bad, well, then was George Soros also bad? Like, make up your damn minds. They always do this, too. They always make comparisons. And it's like, well, wait a minute, but you guys weren't complaining about the thing you're comparing this to. So what is it? Is it good? Is it bad? Make up your own damn minds. I got to give him this Roland guy credit. He's pretty entertaining, but just because he's entertaining doesn't mean that he was right about anything. But what are your guys' thoughts on this clip? I thought Clay did a great job here, completely owning this dude, Roland. Perfect screen grab, by the way, for my thumb. I got to use that. Sound off in the comment section below, letting me know how you think this Piers panel did. If you like seeing Piers Morgan panels where people debate and argue with each other, I got a whole playlist for you in the screen. I also got a whole bunch more videos on my channel.